It's interesting to have a discussion today. My question is, I want to know your experience. I think your background is not Buddhist. This is my thinking. But I want to know what can bring you to this level, that you can understand the real teaching of the Buddha. Yeah, I have listened your discussion for a long time, and I just want to know your experience. Sometimes you share your experience can open the gate for us to start.
I'll say a little bit.
Sorry, Sarah, can I just put this one in a bit, please?
So when I was young, I was brought up in a very strongly Christian family, but I was always the child and the teenager who would say, well, how do you know there's a God, or why is this? And so I was always questioning quite a lot. And I trained as a psychologist because I was interested to understand more about how the mind worked. But many questions were not answered, like why are identical twins so different at birth, and all these kinds of simple questions. And I studied a lot about different religions, but it was the Buddhist teachings that were of interest to me, and especially a book I read which mentioned about no self, no soul, no God, just different realities. It made sense to me, and I also appreciated the fact it's not a faith system, it's not something to believe, but what can be proved and tested at this moment. It can be tested out that there is seeing now, and that seeing doesn't see pictures, it just sees what is visible, and then there is a lot of thinking about it. I travelled when I was very young overland to India from England, and I spent 2 years in India and Sri Lanka living in temples. I followed a very strict meditation practice. I lived as a nun in Sri Lanka, so I understand about practices and meditation and taking it very seriously. And I was fortunate, I was really young, I was only 21, but I was very fortunate, actually, thanks to Jonathan, to listen to some very bad quality cassettes of Ajahn Suchin speaking. And at that time I'd actually read quite a lot of the Tipitaka, but she was speaking and talking about now, hearing a sound, immediately thinking of the voices, the cars in the street, the people beating the drums. But it's all a story, it's all a dream, because it's just sound that's heard. No self that can do anything. I instantly dropped my meditation practice like overnight and never had any interest again. So even though the cassette was part Pali, part Thai, it was interesting, and I started to read a lot more, and I went back to England to help my family who were having a lot of trouble, and went back to work as a psychologist and social worker, and kept in touch. Jonathan was living in Thailand at the time. He sent me a lot of cassettes, and I joined Ajahn Suchin on trips in Sri Lanka and in other places. So that's actually how I know Jonathan, we were both studying with her. And so we both studied with her for over 50 years. We've been very, very fortunate. And I never had any interest in practicing or doing something because it made so much sense to me. All the answers I'd ever had was a youngster in England or as a psychology student were answered one by one. The Buddha has answers for every question. because there are just different realities arising and falling away now. No self can ever be found. So it's a great treasure for those of you who come from a Vietnamese or Cambodian background, fortunate to have had access to the Buddha's teachings. But the wrong view of self is just the same, no matter in England, Australia, Vietnam, Cambodia. We spend a lot of time in Vietnam. We've been 20, 30 times helping to give talks, hold discussions. Different language, but the ideas are just the same. So everyone has to listen and consider, and it just depends on the interest, whether there's an interest to understand about the truth now or not. One can't, like often people say, how can I help my family friends? They don't want to listen. If there's no interest, you can't make someone interest. Or if you're helping someone at the hospital, it depends whether there is the interest to listen and consider and reflect. For me, when I used to work in psychiatric centres, and any help I gave, from my point of view, is from the understanding of Buddhism. But you don't have to use special words, or it's not about the language or the terms, but the understanding of the truth now, which is the best medicine, the best healing for in any circumstance.
So let me ask you, where does any interest or skill or learning come from?
Again, please.
Yes. Where does you asked about how we came to be interested and have some familiarity with the Buddha's teaching. So where does but regardless of whether it's in the Dhamma or elsewhere, where does an interest or familiarity or skill come from? Suppose someone is...
Actually, I really don't know where it's from. Because in my life, I have many purposes to become, like when I was young, I wanted to be a singer, to be a artist, but when the time passed by, everything changed and I like something more. So it just happened through the time that I passed by.
So where do those likes, there's something more that you liked, how does that come to be?
I think the main point is not depend on any particular, it just happened because of their condition.
Because of
its condition.
Its condition.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So if one has an interest in this lifetime in something, then it must have developed previously, in a previous lifetime, we'll say. So
Yes.
we call these accumulated tendencies.
That's
so
right.
we all have different accumulated tendencies which account for our interest in different things, our level of skill in different things. Someone who is a skilled musician, for example, it's not because they learned it all just in this lifetime. It's because of having studied it previously and become competent in the past. So I think this is the real answer to your question, because what happened in this lifetime in terms of place of birth, education, family, where one came across the Dhamma, it's all but just by conditions, like you said. But the important thing is that there must have been the interest there, because other people have the opportunity to hear the Dhamma, but they don't follow up at all. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we can give the different stories, and the story would be different. Everyone has a different, but in truth, there are just different moments of interest, different moments of exploring further or not. So it just depends on the habit, the accumulations, when there's an opportunity to listen, whether it makes sense or not.
Yes.
After my experience, I thought, I can share these cassettes with different people. Everyone will find it so interesting. But other people didn't find it interesting at all. So, and when I went home, I thought, my family would like to hear about this. No interest. So it just depends on the habit and interest.
Yeah.
And we know this develops from life to life. We know that the clinging now to a particular taste conditions more clinging to that taste. So understanding also accumulates.
Yeah, I raised this question because I read many sutta that said by the Buddha. Sometimes he explained about the reality, but he also talked about someone's life, the last existence, and then become something. But at last, he make the conclusion and explain to the reality. So. To me, I also have the start point, but not everyone like us. But just take an example sometimes. Yeah.
And the main point is that we give these examples, but the main point is there is no one. So we think it's Ananda or Sariputta's story, but in truth there are just different dharmas arising and falling away. In the commentary to one sutta about the snake, he talks about handling the snake in the wrong way. So if one reads the suttas in the wrong way, it's like taking the snake in the wrong way. One thinks it's just about different people, but in fact they're about different realities. And if one studies the Abhidharma in the wrong way and tries to learn and memorize every term and detail, it can lead to madness, just trying to work out what are the different causes of different karma results and so on. So it has to come back to the understanding of dharmas, not this person or that person.
Yeah, and the understanding also arises because of their condition as well. Like Buddha also recommend all of us to associate with the wise or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I referred to. That's what I had in mind when I referred to hearing the Buddha's description of the reality of the present moment, of life at the present moment, and one hears that from another person. Or it can be by reading, of course, but mostly it will be from personal communication with other person or people who share one's interest in understanding the Buddha's teaching. And that person, anyone who is able to help one understand the Dhamma is the good friend for that particular moment or instance. So there were 4 factors that the Buddha mentioned: that association with the good friend, hearing the true Dhamma, reflection on what has been heard, and then
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connecting. Please wait.
and then the fourth one is the actual moments of awareness and understanding.
Yeah, thank you.
Who can control what is...
No.
Who can control what is
Bluetooth
heard?
connected.
No, not at all.
Who can stop aversion or unpleasant feeling if you hear a strong noise? It's by conditions, yes.
Condition that.
Yes.